second back. So, all right then. So this, oh, I need it. Uh-oh. Oh, back. So this is assignment number 40. Assignment number 40, and you want to do problem number 12. 12 looks like a good one for me to copy down. If it was a fluffer puffer, you know, like a level 1, I probably wouldn't even copy it down. I would just do it, you know. But this needs some doing. So if I've done my job even remotely well, you guys recognize this as a harder level 3. And what I mean by that is the signs are not cooperative. And if you haven't figured this out yet, it's just an extra little layer of annoyance when, see how the X's are both positives and the Y's are both negatives. That's just, it's not a big deal. It just means that when I do my prep work, I have to be mindful and change a sign somewhere, right? Okay, so since this was your question, which variable would you like to get rid of? Okay, so if I want to get rid of the Y's, I have to be mindful of, this is actually just, I can make this a level 2, can't I? Because I can just take this -5 and just poof, turn it into a positive 10, right? Okay, so I'm actually only going to manipulate the bottom equation. And what am I going to multiply it by? -2, right? Because 5 times 5 would give us 25. We don't want that. So we want to multiply by 2. Well, -2. So that equation, when I modify it, will come out to -4x plus 10y equals -2. And then this top equation doesn't change. So I'm just going to copy it over there. So this is the point in the problem where I draw my line. And if you remember, the line for me just signifies an announcement that I'm about to add some stuff together. That's what the line generally means. So when we add straight down this way, how many x's do we get?
1.
We get -1x. You can put -1x if that's your thing. When I add straight down the y's, what do I get? They cancel. Remember, please do not put 0. There will come a point next week, I think next week, when will want you to put zeros, and I'll tell you why, but this is not that time. Okay, we've already got something on the left side of the equal sign, so I don't need to put a 0 there. And then when I add straight down the constants, what do I get? Right. So in algebra, remember that if you ever get to the end of an equation and the variable that you're trying to solve for has a negative, you can just hit that with the Harry Potter one and just like sinus changes or something. So if -x becomes +x, then -3 also becomes +3. So we can say at this point in time that our final answer is there. Oof, now we got to go find y. And always remember that it's probably not the best idea to use a modified equation, only because the numbers generally are going to be bigger. I really don't care, but I think I'm the most attracted to this equation only because all things being equal, it's like there's some negatives in both of them. That one just has smaller numbers, so I like it better. It doesn't matter, right? So when I copy that equation down, I'm going to put the equation. I'm just going to copy the whole thing, but instead of putting x, I'm going to put the 3, right? And I'm just going to leave a space for that for now. So there is the equation that I've elected to use. You could have used either of the others. It's okay. And in the little space I've left, I'm going to put the 3. And from here on out, it's just work we learned 5 months ago. And that is just multiply, move stuff around, divide, you do whatever you got to do. So 2 times 3 is 6. And then, of course, I would want at this point to probably move that 6 to the other side. So remember when you move a 6 over there, one of the most criminal things you could do at this point is put 7, right? Don't be lazy. When you move the 6, he changes to a -6, right? So we have -5y. That doesn't change. And 1 minus 6 is -5. And then when we divide by -5, we get y equals +1. And then we go up here, whoop, into the corner. Answer done. That's the process. Yeah.
Or we just go to work, cause I just get the.
No, that's not a problem at all. And this, it makes me happy as your algebra teacher. What Brendel's asking about is if you get to this step right here, a good equation solver will understand that I don't always have to be a robot about this, right? Like what Brendel's saying is, could I take the -5y and move it to the right side, making it positive? Sure. And then the trade-off is I have to take the 1 and get him off the side. Like the 5y is like, get away from me, right? So then the 1 goes to the other side and becomes a -1, and 6 minus 1 is 5. And whether you do it that way or my way, like you're still going to get 1. So totally your call. Once you get good at solving equations, you realize you have a lot of freedom to just kind of do what you want, as long as you follow the law. And the law is if you move it across the equals, you change it. That law is never going to go away. So Jackson, you still want to do problem 1? Sure. So still assignment 40, problem number 1. And I'm not going to copy this one onto the board, Jackson. And the reason is because it's clearly just ready to go. It's ready to roll. It's a level 1. Do you know what I mean by that? So if I add straight down, just as the problem is written, so if you're looking at the board, you're not going to see problem 1. But if you look at your paper, problem 1, when you add straight down, how many X's are you going to get? Yeah. So like, it's ready, man. Level 1s are just like, seriously? Thank you. And then the Y's, of course, cancel. And then when you add on the right side, what's -16 plus 16? 0. And if I divide both sides of this little baby equation by -9, I get X equals 0. So I can put my answer over here, put a 0 in the correct spot. And now, Jackson, all you got to do is look at the 2 original equations and just pick the one that makes you feel less stress. Which one you like, top or bottom? Let's do the bottom. So if we copy the bottom equation, it used to say -7x, but since I know x is real identity now, I don't put x there. I put a blank space. And then I keep copying. That's what I do. I like to not fill things in until I like to go back and fill things in. It keeps my eyeballs focused on what I'm supposed to be doing. So -7x plus 4y equals +16. And we're going to take that 0 and just drop him right in. All right, what's -7 times 0? Right. And in a case like this, I don't really see the point in putting a 0. Like I said, the only time I'd ever want to put a 0 is if it's the only thing that's going to hold an equation together. But this 4y is like, you don't need to put a 0 next to me. Like I'll hold this side down, right? I don't need a 0. And then divide by 4, what do you get? And then you go up here to your answer, complete it. Done. My pleasure. Any others while I got this running? I can pause it and I'll unpause it if you have questions. It's up to you guys. Any questions on this south side of the room over here? We good? All right. Been there, done that. Yeah. All right, I'm pausing the recording. If you guys ask a question and I start explaining, don't let me forget to unpause. Okay, thanks. All right. Problem number 9. It looks like a level 2 to me. Would you agree? Okay. And you can make this a level 2 by either attacking the X's or the Y's. and I probably don't have to explain this to you, but I hope you agree that the y's are a better choice. A, you have to multiply by less if you kill the y's, and B, the y's are already sign cooperative. They're already negative positive for us. So I hope you agree that we're going to multiply the top equation by 3 and then just leave the bottom one alone. You good with that? Okay, so if we do that, then we get negative 3 x's minus 12 y's equals negative 39. Good so far? Okay, and the bottom equation doesn't have to change, so I'm just going to copy the bottom equation over like that. And then I draw my line because I'm saying to the world, it's all set up and ready to go. We still agree? Okay. So at this point, when I add straight downwards, I get negative 13 of those x's. I do get y's that cancel, drop my equals, and negative 39 and negative 26 add together to make negative 65. Still agree? Okay, so at this point, when I divide by negative 13, I just get a good old smooth x equals 5. So the answer is there and waiting. And now you just have to kind of decide, of the 3 equations on the board, which one do you like the best? The original top one? Sure. So that's this equation up here. And so we're going to take and we're going to write it down. But when we write it, we're going to change the letter x into 5. So we're going to write negative, but we're going to put 5 there. In this case, I just fill it in as I go because I don't need like parentheses or anything, right? Minus 4y. And then from here, again, you could take what Brendel said and you could relocate. You could essentially switch the 4y and 13. Or you could, how would you do it from here? Yeah, so you don't really worry about that sign stuff right yet. And I kind of don't either, but it's nice sometimes. It just feels to do it a little different. So leave the negative 4y. If I add 5 to negative 13, I get negative 8. Like that. And then I divide and I get y equals 2.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, did you spot where you were hitting a roadblock?
I was adding 39 negative 39.
Did you get like negative 13 or something like that?
No, I was getting.
Oh, you forgot to carry the 10. Ah, yeah, that'll do it. Addie, what's up? Okay, let's take a look. You're the second person to ask about number 2, so let's just go ahead and go through it on the TV here. So number 2 looks like a level 2. You could turn it into a level 3 if you wanted to, but I don't know why anyone would really want to. So do you see why the y's are more attractive? Okay. And that's what homie B over here tried to do also. So that could have been where things went south. So when we multiply by negative 2, what are we going to get? What are we going to get?
I got 8 x plus 12.
Right, that looks good so far. And then the bottom equation is not changed. So I'm just going to bring it across like that. And then I'm going to add them together. And when I add downwards, how many x's will I get? Nice job. And then, of course, the y's cancel. And then what's 20 plus negative 30? Oh, so you're on a roll so far. So this is the magic trick at the end where, remember, if it says negative x equals blah, 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 you just make x positive and then just change the blah, blah, blah. Like if it's negative 2, make it positive 2. Whatever. So you're good to hear. Fantastic. So our answer then is 2, comma, who the heck knows? So to find it, which of the 3 white equations on the board, which one do you like the best?
I chose
The one with that starts with the -9. Okay, interesting choice, but you know what? It's all good. So let's do this. So we're going to write the equation, but remember, when we get to the letter x, we're going to just leave a space. So we're going to write -9 times where x used to be, minus 12 of those y's equals -30. Is your paper still the same as mine? Okay. And then in place of that space, I'm going to take that 2 and just airdrop it in there, whoop, like that. Now help me with my math. What's -9 times 2? Yeah. And what would you do next? And that's a -30, so let's be careful, okay? So when you add 18 across, the -12y stays the same. And this could be where things went south. I don't know. What's -30 plus 18? In other words, if you owe me $30, that's -30, but plus 18, yeah. And if you pay me back 18, you get -12.
Oh, I put a negative 2 in this spot. That's what I did. That makes more sense.
So it comes out really nice. Y just equals 1. So we can go back up to our answer and pop that in there. Jackson, you had a hand up also. You want to go over one?
A fraction.
Let's go over number 4. And 4 is not a fluffer puffer, so I'm definitely going to copy this bad boy down. So 9x minus 3y equals 15, and 4x plus 5y. So I'd like to go into the weekend knowing that you know why I asked this question, and I want to know that you can answer it. So here it goes. All things being equal, which pathway is going to be easier, killing x's or y's? Correct. And I assume you said that because the signs are already staggered, right? Because a negative and a positive is, I mean, it's always going to be more attractive to me because then when I multiply, I don't have to tinker with signs. So what can the 3 and the 5 both be turned into? Right. So we're going to multiply the top by one thing and the bottom by something different. What are you going to multiply by on the top?
5.
And on the bottom? Okay. So what is our new top equation going to say? I like it so far. How about the bottom?
12 plus 6y equals 3.
Yeah, so is this still what you have on your paper? Okay, so the mistake hasn't happened yet. We're going to cancel those out right away, right? When you add downwards, how many x's are you going to get? Say it again. I'm going to enjoy a morning wheat thin while you rethink that answer.
I was subtracting.
Signs point to yes, you were. So now that I'm done enjoying this, well, still in the process, but I can work. Yeah. And when you add these together, you get 100 and then carry over the 14. So you get 114. And look how pretty that comes out. Boom. All better? You think you got it from here? Okay. Any others? All right, we're going back into pause mode here. So, right. Number 6. And yeah, because it's a fluffer, I'm not going to copy the original problem down. When I add straight down on number 6, the x's are going to cancel. What's 4y minus 1y? All right, so I can just put 3y equals, and then on the right side, what's 0 plus 27? Nice. So I assume you got y equals 9. All right, cool. So the answer is blank 9. And which equation are you putting your 9 back into? That's fine. So it's going to say negative 9x minus like y, but where it used to say y, I'm going to put 9 equals 27. Did you put the 9 in the correct place? Did you put it in place of y? Okay. And when we add, we have to add 9 to both sides, right? Okay, so we're left with negative 9x. And then what's 27 plus 9? Nope. It would. Mhm. And then when we divide by negative 9, we get x equals a negative, and 36 divided by 4 is 36 divided by 9 is 4. So it's negative 4. Where was your boo-boo?
Well, I multiplied it on accident, so then I got 81.
Yeah, and so when I asked you a question a while ago, I kind of knew I thought that that's what you had done. You put the 9 in the wrong place. You can't just always put it in place of x. You have to put it in place of the correct letter. So if you multiplied the 9s, then that's the only way to get 81 is you put it in place of x when you should have put it in place of y. Y doesn't have anyone multiplied by it, so I think that's what happened. Brendel, you okay? All right. For anyone interested, number 10. And 10 looks like the one that I should copy down because it's a level 3 no matter how we look at it. So which variable did you decide to get rid of? It doesn't matter. I mean, if you think about it, they both suck. And I'll tell you what. First off, their x's are both positives, which sucks. The y's are both positives, which sucks. But on a different note, if you killed the x's, I would say to you, what can you turn 8 and 3 both into? It's like, what's the smallest number in the world that they can both count up to if you count by 8s and by 3s? 24. So that helps. If you ever panic and we do this a lot in algebra 2 when the numbers get really, really big. You know anyone in algebra 2, ask them about their 3x3 systems, they'll tell you. If we ever get stuck and there's two numbers where I just go, I don't know what they both go into, the old trick is to multiply them by each other. Okay, so what I mean by that is you could just take the top equation and say, listen, I don't really know what I'm going for here, but I'm going to take the top number 8 and multiply it by the bottom one, 3. And then I'm going to take the bottom number 3 and multiply it by the top number 8. So I'll just show you an example, like in algebra 2, and I'll give you just a double system, not a triple, but if we had like negative 29x plus 35y equals negative 1,240, and then we had like 32x minus 17y equals 512. We look at that and we're like, am I really supposed to know what 29 and 32 both go into? And the answer is, oh, I don't know what they both go into. So when we're not sure, what we do is it's kind of a cheesy trick, but it's rad. I take the top equation and I multiply it by the number on the bottom, 32. And then I take the bottom equation and I multiply it by the number on the top, which is 29. And I don't really know what 32 times 29 is, but the point is, I know one thing for dang sure. When I do that red box multiplication problem, and I do that purple box multiplication problem, they're going to cancel. You follow the logic there? Like, I don't know what it equals, but whatever they are, I mean, red box is going to be negative some big number. Purple box is going to be positive version of some big number. Did I lose you? Did I lose you? So that's the logic. And so if you were struggling with what to multiply by, I mean, in a perfect world, I'd love it if you knew that 8 and 3 both go into 24. But if you struggle with that, you can always cheese it like that and multiply them by each other. What my teacher taught me when I was your age is take the bigger of the two numbers that you're trying to come to a common ground. Always take the bigger one and start counting by 8. So 8, and then I look at the other number 3 and I say 3 doesn't go into 8. So add another 8 onto 8. Like put down another 8-cent coin. How many do you have now? Okay, and then we pause and we look and say, can 16 be divided by 3? And the answer is nope, I better keep going. Add another 8 to 16. What do you get? And then you look and go, can 3? Oh, there's my guy. Because 24 can be divided by 3, I know always that's what my teachers taught me, is how to find what's called the least common multiple. So anyways, we do need to make one slight modification to what I said, and that is that when I multiplied by 3 and 8, that's not going to do me any good because they're both going to come out to be 24s, and I need one of them to be a negative. So which one, purple or red, would you like to make a negative? Let's do it. Would you like to keep going together? You sure?